What up, everyone? Welcome back to Blade Bias. Today we're going to talk about the Vault V2 hardware upgrade, which I know isn't going to apply to most people, but I figured it'd be a useful video for anyone who owned the Vault before they upgraded all the hardware and is wondering if it's worth it. Let me just start off by saying, yeah, it's probably worth it. I think the upgrade from T8 to T10 is worth the price of admission right there, plus the fact that the original Vaults had really, really soft hardware that weren't very good. You can see I have the old hardware right here all set up. The bushings were as expected and as it would have to be, very, very oversized, which is completely fine because you can't tune bushings for a ballast song without having the ballast song, so you have to send them oversized. I tuned them. I didn't do a great job. It has more tap than the T8 hardware did, but I don't think that's the fault of the hardware. I think that's just the fault of my my tuning job. I think I could have done a little bit better. I was on stream, so I kind of rushed it a little bit. I'll probably do another tuning session eventually where I actually dial it in to like no tap and no play. But yeah, as far as like the hardware itself, I can't really complain too much. I got the discount for being one of the first people to buy it, and it's good. It's worth the upgrade. I will say that the pivot needle doesn't work as well as I had hoped. I didn't really expect it to work amazingly like this, the pivot needle from Indiana John Flips, but I got frustrated using that pivot needle and just switched back to using this. So if you have this, it's not a replacement for this pivot needle. Go buy one of these pivot needles. This thing is magical. And the hardware initially didn't go together the smoothest. I will say it was a bit frustrating trying to put this thing back together the first few times as I was tuning it. But it eventually smoothed out, and now it's gotten to a pretty good place, despite the fact that it has tap and more play than it did before. The whole thing just feels, the whole unit just feels more solid. Feels like the bushings fit in there better. I like the look of the hardware a little more. It's got this little indent before it goes down to the T10. It just looks and feels overall slightly better. And also the sound, while not improving too much, has improved. Like, this is about the same as it sounded before, and it has worse tolerances than it sounded before. So I can only imagine how it would feel if it had better tolerances, if I tuned it better. I do want to make it clear again that the tuning job is all me and not the fault of Nabalis, because when you send out a replacement hardware kit like that, you can't really tune the bushings to perfection because there's different imperfections in each one of the blades. You have to tune bushings to a specific blade, which is generally why makers don't really sell replacement bushings as much as they do pivots or screws or washers, because there's not as much precision that goes into them as there would be with bushings, so it's easy to replace those things. So yeah, that is completely on me. Overall, though, I'd give it a 6 out of 10, slightly above average. The putting it together and tuning it was slightly annoying because of how well everything, or I should say, how tightly everything fit together. It wasn't really the best experience, but for what it is, really, really great. Better hardened hardware, I guess, and T10, which is awesome. I no longer have to carry around a T8 whenever I carry my Vault, which is great because I have a T10 bit on my keychain. So that'll be perfect. This will fit right in with the rest of my collection. And the Vulp remains amazing. The Wave has come out. Haven't seen any reviews on it yet. I'm not even sure if they've shipped or if people have received them yet. So we're waiting on that. I'm not really sure what the ballast song news this week is going to be, but I think I'll do that video next. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Vault V2 hardware, pretty good. If you buy a Vault V2, none of this matters to you because all that comes stock and installed into the ballast song for you. But if you have an old Vault V1 and you want to upgrade it a slight bit, I'd say go for it. I don't think it's necessarily necessary, something that you have to do, but if you want T10, go for it. It's worth it. Hardware seems fine. I'll do more durability testing on it though as I tighten it and untighten it and see how it goes. Anyway, that's about it. I will see you guys on Wednesday. Peace.